Mob runs the biggest marathon of his life, and the ending of this episode will leave you feeling burned. Sweet psychic shenanigans, it's another fantastic episode of Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. This episode, guys, had one of the craziest endings that I've seen from the entire series, and the timing for it could have not been more perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and put up that spoiler warning right now. If you haven't watched the episode, go check it out and come back to this review. And this review is going to be very short, as I am very short on time, and I just want to give my quick thoughts about the episode. So, this episode was really interesting because, again, it's showing the growth of Mob, of him being a very timid character and kind of socially awkward, and little by little, he's starting to improve, becoming stronger, becoming a lot more confident in his everyday life, and this is the episode that officially proves it, as there's this big school marathon that's getting ready to take place. It's something that all of the students have to participate in. Essentially, it's a big race, and Mob has been training his ass off for it, and he's also been doing it so that he can actually impress his crush, Takane Tsubomi, who again continues to be one of the most mysterious characters of the series with little to no character development at all. Does she like Mob? Does she not like Mob? It really doesn't matter. This episode is really about him proving himself, and throughout the course of the entire episode, you get to see that almost every character that he's interacted with at his school and even his family are doing everything in their power to actually support him. It's actually a really great showcase for all of the side characters of the series, the Telepathy Club, the Body Improvement Club, also known as the best characters of the series, and I was particularly impressed by Mob's mother and father in this episode. They did a great job of showing them as truly good, supportive parents. If this were any other anime series, they could have been total dicks, but they really are there to support their son in every single way. As far as anime parents go, they're one of the most realistic depictions of any that I've ever seen, and I really appreciated that in this episode. I especially love that Reagan was also there to help him out, because after the last couple of episodes, of course, we've seen him go through a big change, and now he's been incredibly supportive when it comes to actually working with Mob, and he does everything to actually train him. Even Dimple actually helps out quite a bit, too. It's really great, and it all leads up to the big race, where ultimately he actually doesn't even finish. It's kind of disappointing in that sense, but it's handled in a very realistic way. I mean, there's no way that overnight he's just going to improve that much, and he doesn't want to use any of his psychic powers. He's not going to allow Dimple to possess him in order to win the race. He wants to do it on his own steam, and that alone is admirable and shows how much of a more mature character that he actually is. What's really funny about the race is that he desperately wants to break into the top 10, but he doesn't even finish. Like, there's a scene where it looks like he might actually get another wind, and he's somehow just going to start sprinting to the front, but suddenly it hard cuts to him in the school hospital, and he just passed out right there. We never even saw it happen. But again, he's still not down, and neither are his friends about this situation, especially his family. They're incredibly proud of what Mob has actually accomplished. They've seen how hard he worked, and they want to celebrate by having a dinner with him. And that's where the entire episode comes crashing down. So, while watching this episode, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is really great. I'm loving this character development so much because, wow, this character truly has evolved so much since the beginning of the series. But man, I really wonder when the main story is going to kick into gear. Like, we see it in the intro every single week, fighting against Claw and all these mysterious, superpowered psychics. When is this story even going to pick up again? And it does at the very end of the episode. Before Mob can return home, he gets a visitor to his house, and when Ritsu opens the door, it's none other than Sho, and the implication, of course, is that Sho is a very super-powered character, and he comes across as very ominous and evil in this episode, and it looks like some real serious shit is about to go down. Even with Mob's parents being there, Ritsu is completely freaked out, and we immediately cut to Mob walking home when he realizes that his house is on fire. He walks in, protecting himself from all of the fire with his psychic powers, and when he goes to the top, he finds the charred, burning bodies of his family. In just a split second, the entire episode went into what might be the darkest direction that I've actually seen from the series, and he just loses his shit in this moment. The animation of him gritting his teeth and suddenly losing control of his psychic power, which not only goes above 100, but goes into a realm of pissed off we can't even possibly fathom. He explodes, and the episode ends, and holy shit. What an amazing ending to such an emotional episode. So, what's the rundown on this episode of Mob Psycho 100? That ending is definitely one of the most defining things about this episode, but I hope that it doesn't fully steal the thunder away from a lot of people from what the main focus of the episode was, which was Mob's overall development, which I thought this episode did a great job of actually displaying. I really also loved Ritsu in this episode, as in the first season, he was kind of just there in the background. They started to make him a little more important at the very end of the season, but this season right here has shown that his relationship with his brother has improved tremendously. Ritsu really wants to help out Mob and help him develop as an actual person. And there's a scene in the middle of the episode where Reagan gets a visit from Tsubomi and her friend who are looking for some love advice. Tsubomi is not there, but she still manages to question Reagan about Mob, not actually saying it out loud, but it's pretty obvious that she has some sort of feelings for the character. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out. There's even a scene later on where she's cheering on Mob, but he doesn't even seem to notice. I'm not sure where this part of the story is going, but I am really interested to see if it's actually going to end up materializing into anything. They're also keeping the weird subplot of Misato, the photographer, who's obsessed with creating this religion based around Mob for reasons. I'm not really sure what her motivation is outside of the fact that she's really bored and just wants to see some crazy shit. It's still really funny, I have to admit, but really, I don't know where that's going to be going either. But it's that final moment with Sho finally returning and the burning of his house and him running and seeing his parents and his brother just burning alive there. Now, maybe his parents really aren't dead. Maybe there is something else going on there. I don't know if the series is willing to go into territory that dark, but the fact that most of the episode was building up Mob's relationship with his friends, and in particular his parents and his brother, showing it in a way that we've never seen in the series before, maybe they were doing that in order to build up the ultimate downfall of Mob and his family. But again, if they actually go through with this and follow through with his parents and brother burning alive, that has got to be one of the boldest decisions that I've ever seen from the series, which, at the end of the day, is mostly a comedy. I mean, there is some action and some other stuff in the series, but mostly this is sort of like a comedy coming-of-age story with crazy psychic powers. You know, I mean, there are definitely elements of action, but they seem to be more relegated towards the back half, the end of a season, and I think that's what we're going to be getting here. It is interesting that it's already coming this late in the season, and I don't know if this one's going to be as long as the first season or maybe longer, but I'm really amped to see what ultimately it's going to deliver. Really, I loved this episode. I had no complaints with it, and I'd go as far as to say it's one of my favorite of the season, and that's saying a lot, as nearly every single episode of Season 2 has just been pitch perfect in my opinion. Without a shadow of a doubt, Mob Psycho 100 is going to go down as a cult anime classic. I don't see how it can't. Its production value and its characters are just too damn good, and the series is so freaking unique with its sense of humor, its hilarious character designs, and the fact that its main character itself is unlike any that I've seen in any other medium. Loved this episode. 5 out of 5 from me. I'd love to get your thoughts about it, and you can tell me all of them in the comment section below, and what you guys hope to see from the rest of Mob Psycho 100. Thank you all for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.